Well, yeah, we're definitely going to start with some Caveblazers for today.
And we just found our new game of the month. It's Red Bull snowboarding.
All right. Is it on Switch?
Yes,
yeah, it's on sale for $1 right now.
There you go.
I'm probably going to get it because it's basically just like 1080 or SSX on like easy mode. Like it is hard not to land a trick, and
even when you
hard,
bail, you just keep going.
Yeah, it's also hard not to land a 900 or more.
Yeah, I mean, it's that easy, right? 900s are easy, so.
I think John landed a 2160 or something.
Just like, I had a penta backflip because it was
went from quadruple to penta. Hey everybody, welcome to Pursuing Pixels. This is episode number 25, and my name is Kevin Portelli, and I'm here tonight with our hosts Randall Nolery.
Hey everybody.
DJ Mandolini.
That is my name. Hi.
And John Hines is back.
Yep.
For some more. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing all right.
Doing great.
Well, I'm doing hanging in there by a thread. Randall's back, but yeah, he's still a little under the weather.
A little bit.
But we're hacking through anyways. Thanks for sticking it out, Randall.
Absolutely. It's a good way of putting it.
Well, I guess we can just dig right into the game of the month. For the month of October, we've been playing Caveblazers, and I know I've been kind of excited to dig into this one because it's one that DJ and I have put a ton of time into beforehand, and then Randall and John kind of came to this one fresh. I don't think either of you had played before making it the game of the month.
I know that when you guys first got into it, you had me over one night, and I played like a run, and you guys got to see me die real quick.
And what about you, Randall? Had you played before? Or?
I definitely bought it on sale because you had talked about it previous, and maybe I launched it, but that was probably the extent of it, to be honest.
Okay. And I guess just a quick summary, although there's kind of a lot going on in this game, but it's like a procedurally generated, roguelike title that's kind of takes a lot of inspiration from Spelunky. Although it doesn't have that, Spelunky has that, floaty, really fast-paced control. This is, a little more methodical. You're kind of, gathering items and just working your way, usually downward. It doesn't necessarily feel like downwell or anything like that, but you're usually trying to get to the bottom of each procedurally generated level, which will have an exit, and there's, obviously multiple areas, multiple zones, and you're just trying to progress, and you're collecting different weapons, different upgrades, different potions that are also randomized each run. There's just a ton of randomness, and it's one of those roguelikes that definitely depends a lot on what you're kind of given each run, and you have to adapt, to what items are kind of doled out as you break the different pots and pans and whatnot. But I guess I don't really know how to dig into this game or how to describe it exactly, but
it has a lot of different modes, but I know that DJ,
come on.
Are you the only one who has beaten this game?
No. Randall, you beat it, right?
Hell no.
Come on.
And I've put 40 or 50 hours into this game.
No, you
and I have
haven't.
not. Yes, I have, and I have not beaten it. I just can't do it.
What's
I
wrong
get
with
to
you
the
guys?
fourth. I think there's 5 or 6 different zones that have 2 levels each. I think you can even tweak that, how many levels are in each area and the custom settings and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone else played around with the customization settings. I know that it bars you from unlocking certain things, so you can't just beat the whole game. But I played a couple things just to see, learn some boss strategies or whatnot. I think turned down enemy speed down to 90%, and I turned item and runes up by abilities up by, I don't know, double. So I was able to get a lot of things and be a lot more powerful, and enemies were a little bit easier, but not too significantly. But yeah, I did that so that I could fight a couple different bosses, and it unlocked them in the log post, but I didn't really unlock any special abilities or anything in the tree after that.
I need to try doing that. Whenever they give you the ability to customize runs, I never take advantage of it because I feel like I'm not allowed to.
Right.
Well, I feel the same way.
There's like a default setting, and that's like what is like what the developers intended you to play the game as.
Yeah, and I think they do even. I think this game does have some kind of like warning. It at the very least tells you that you can't unlock stuff, but I think it does say like only use this custom mode if like you are having trouble playing the game. Like we recommend try. It says something to the effect I think of like play the normal difficulty mode. And one of the things that I think is kind of interesting about this game is the enemy AI. I think particularly like not all the enemies, some of them just kind of go about their business and kind of go about their general patterns. And, they might like there's bats that are kind of hanging around that obviously if you get near them, they fly around and they kind of come towards you. They kind of fly wherever they want sort of, but they sort of seek to you a little bit.
Set pattern basically that they follow.
Yeah, but the goblins and the enemies that are on foot have like AI that's like actually like very similar to your character. I mean, they move around at the same basic speed.
Yeah.
There's even sometimes some like these like demon like red or green enemies that cut like orcs or something, and they're definitely a lot tougher. Like they will sometimes like parry your attacks. Like it seems like they're really hard to hit, or I don't know if they're blocking them with a shield, or it seems like it's parrying. There's like a big flash on the screen when it happens, but like. I don't know. The combat is oddly satisfying in this game, at least to me, for a game that has like such small little characters, but something about like you really feel like you have to outsmart the enemies a little bit because you just can't sit still for too long. Because even unless you're in a if you've kind of cleared out an area, but enemies will seem to keep kind of like coming into the caves. Like you can't just
they'll seek you
clear
out.
a level. Yeah, they keep like just kind of. They don't let you be at all if they're anywhere even remotely near you. Or I to be honest, I think even
very
in the level,
zoomed out.
Yeah, like your
so
characters
you can see a lot.
And that's kind of I think I kind of glossed over that point, but I was surprised by how satisfying the combat feels to me with how zoomed out. Because a lot of times you want to have that like tactile feel, and it's like sometimes hard to even tell if you're going to be able to hit the enemy or not, or like where am I in relation to these enemies? But for some reason, I do find it very satisfying to just kind of like hack away at all these enemies that they throw at you.
Yeah, it took me a lot of runs before I could get a grasp on how the combat works, or like especially how like an enemy will be coming at you, but you don't know if they're attacking necessarily or not. Like I think it definitely took me a while to understand. Like, okay, this is what it means when they're attacking,
right?
But
I was kind of curious too. Did you guys use the projectile attacks more than the up close combat? Because that's what I ended up doing most of the time.
I did for certain enemies like that. I would basically always try to take out a bat with like long range or something. But basically, anytime it was an orc or like I don't know the guys who have like little, do they have Jason masks on?
Something like the little blue
skull, something like those. Like I would always just engage with like. When they first noticed me, I would try to like land a couple hits in, but after that, once they got close enough, I was just like default to melee.
Yeah.
That's mostly me too. And occasionally though, but you're getting all kinds of different, different bows, or sometimes different like you can throw like bombs. It's like a little like slingshot bomb thrower.
I never
like
learned how to
all
throw
different kinds
weapons.
of like projectiles and stuff. Well, they have like you can open up like a radial menu, and it is a little bit tedious. Like you do have to pause the game and go into the menus, which doesn't actually pause the game.
It sure
like,
does
if
not.
You're going into your inventory.
It's Dark Souls rules.
So, but I really like that. You never feel like you're at ease, other than like each little area, like before you get to a boss or something. There's usually like a little safe area where you can kind of equip or eat some health items.
But
or whatever.
even so, they'll send down people like you never really truly clear a cave. Like,
well, even when you're in the boss area though, like when you're just in
I see what
that
you're talking
opening
about.
section before you trigger the boss.
I'm dumb, everybody.
No, but yeah, you're right though. Like if it'll like keep sending enemies into the cave, and it'll even send, unless you click like that little pumice stone or whatever it's called, like it'll keep sending like allies into the caves too, which I turn off.
Yeah. Oh, I couldn't tell if that was making the game like
harder
or
because you have like, does adding an extra person increase the difficulty
right. And like, so I
didn't
felt like
notice a difference.
I didn't notice a huge difference either, other than that they would just pick up the items that I wanted and then
it's
go,
just
like, die or something, and it's just too chaotic.
So you guys had better AI people than me, because every single time I would come across an AI person, I would just like get them like seconds before they died, and I'd be like, "Oh, cool!"
I think that was my experience.
Okay, bye.
Yeah.
See, they would even like fight bosses with me.
I had like two
Only a couple
that
times
like ever made it to like survive to a boss.
Yeah. I've even had a couple times where there were like 2 or 3 with me at a time.
Wow.
But I eventually turned that off just because like I like to play the game like kind of like DJ was getting at. Like even though that is the default setting is having these AI characters like allies join you. Mm-hmm. And they don't contribute that much, but just the fact that they can maybe fuck something up that you had planned, or that, you know, when you are kind of like managing your resources and you know, you don't get a lot of health items, or at least in most runs, every now and then you get lucky. And John mentioned like the runes that you get, which are essentially like your perks or buffs that you get on each run that are all kinds of different stuff, like giving you an extra jump, or giving you like the Master Sword perk or whatever that gives you, like, if you have full health, you get like an extra like projectile that doesn't go all the way across the screen or anything, but has like a little extra range to your melee attack. And again, there's just all kinds of different swords that you can get, all kinds of different spears, weapons, and then there's these shrines that you can, if you get 2 of the same item, you can drop those items on the shrine and get like a super powerful version of that. I'm
a big fan. It's a similar thing like with Risk of Rain. Like anytime that there's like a luck shrine where it's like, hey, pay some money and maybe you'll get something. I was like, yeah,
always.
I'll waste my entire my
yes.
gold.
Come on, man.
It depends, because there's not some of the items I just found I just never used. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of times you can get like a magic like item that you also can use, unless you have. There's a bunch of different like perks that you can unlock from like the beginning as well, so you have like different abilities from the get-go. I'm trying to think, there's a bunch of different ones.
Yeah, I mean, the one I used the most, the traditionalist, was where you don't have any magic items, because I didn't really find myself using them that much, I guess it was just simpler for me to not have to think about that.
Yeah.
But then I'd be like, oh, if I can get another one, I'll just get the Ankh to reincarnate me if I die, and another thing I don't have to think about. Mm-hmm. I'm not good at multitasking.
But you beat the game. Like one of the features was that you could it tracked how many different like starting runes that you beat the game with.
Yes.
So how many of those did you beat the game with?
Maybe like 7 or 8.
Like,
man,
like I've unlocked 3.
Come on. I have most of them. I don't know if I have them all, but I definitely have most of them unlocked. But
I do. Yeah.
I find this game so tough. Like I've never even made it to the final boss. I think I've gotten pretty deep into a run, and I've probably about, I would say like my longer runs get close to an hour long, I would say. So it's not a short, a quick 20-minute game or anything like that. So you definitely. But
it is easy to get right back into another run.
Oh yeah,
that was like a really nice thing about like at the very beginning, when at least I was dying a ton, was that like every time that I died, I was like, okay, well, I can just, like, the investment was just immediate, where you just like go right back in and like you can start right up over fresh.
And it never like felt too overwhelming. Like it felt like you could just get back in and like, okay, like, well, I fucked up, I just won't fuck up again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it didn't feel like there were any at least for me, like any necessarily like master build or like something that I was like, this is what I'm going for every time. I really was
also
just
can't control that.
Yeah, so and everything is like throwing you in a different direction. Like, oh, I got this spiked sword, so now I'm like, my attacks are a little slower, but they're way more, they do a lot more damage, but now I'm going to focus more on ranged attack because I like, I'm not as nimble.
I mean, I was noticing the first couple times I beat this game that like it did feel like there were, I guess, somewhat similar builds I was going for, mainly like, just equipment where the more kills you get with something, it'll boost stats. And like, I think I had like my health up to like 400 on some of my runs.
Because there's those items that are like every time you kill an enemy, your HP max goes up by 1.
I love
Super
that.
Skull Stick, man.
God, I love that.
Yeah, and everything just stacks and stacks and stacks. So
yeah, I'd say that was my most common thing to do, is just go for maxing my health, and just because I'm gonna take the hits. I'm gonna take a lot of hits.
Oh yeah.
God, my first time I made it to the final boss, which, spoiler alert, has 3 phases.
Okay. Yeah. Never mind.
I was just sweating the whole time, and I died on the 3rd stage. And I was I had to put it down for a day or two. That was like an hour and a half run.
I was wondering. So that's how long it took to get to the end for you.
Yeah. Kevin and I have like played together a little bit. I think I play a little slower.
Yeah, he's a little more methodical. Although I do think, like I said at the off the top, or at least I think I did, like it is a more methodically paced game. Like you do have to. It's not like strategic per se, but I mean, there's definitely some strategy.
You'd like. There's a pecking order on what enemies you're taking out. Definitely.
Yeah,
like that little blue jumper.
Oh god, I hate that guy right on the first level.
Yeah. Ugh.
Is that the bomb guys?
The bomb, it's like a yeah. And one thing I do like is it does seem like most of the enemies you do have to like kind of study what they do, but like that little blue guy will like flash real quick before he jumps, or
and he has like the little
like
arrow. Like I that for anyone that does like a ranged attack, you will see like just the same way that you will have a little reticle show up on screen, they will too, showing where they're aiming at.
Yeah, I appreciate all the little like signifiers of like this enemy is about to attack. Like they'll just like flash real quick. Like I think even the bats like do like a quick flash before they like do their little dive at you. So yeah, I like all those little touches.
Because there's also like not really contact damage. Like it's all attack damage. Like you can run into an enemy and it won't hurt you. It's just once they're actually attacking you.
Yeah, which is nice. It feels nice to like just run through like a path of enemies, just like swiping like crazy and just like mow them all down. And I think you can turn off the blood settings, but there's like blood splatter all over the place. It's not like it's so zoomed out. It's not very gruesome, but it's just like, man, you're just like, man, I just tore this level apart.
Yeah.
But there's like, you get bombs and stuff. So sometimes there'll be like a little area of the level that's cut off, but you'll see like some extra treasure in there.
Yeah.
I do really like that. Yeah. Like a bomb will like actually change the landscape of the level.
And actually, I forgot about it, but you can like blow up the altars by mistake or like blow up one of the healing shrines. I've had that happen a ton of times where like that blue bomb enemy, I'll be like right next to the healing shrine. And not only does it hit me for damage, but also blows up the healing shrine that I was planning on, refilling my health at. So, there's just like, I do like how, and I guess that's pretty common with a lot of these roguelite titles, it's like everything's kind of interplaying, all the systems are playing off one another. But this game really like takes that to, I don't know, as far as you could take it, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was like the main mode, but like they also have. So a thing that I played, I think more than the like traditional mode was as you play the game, you unlock like different options. Like you don't start off like you start off with just the base mode, and then you unlock like the pumice stone, which you can turn off the AI. You unlock.
Different loadouts.
Yeah, like the loadouts was like I think that's like the first thing that you get because you just start with the basic one, and then it offers you different play styles.
Right.
But there's also an arena mode, which is just a like enemy wave mode where you'll get into these smaller rooms. Like instead of a level, it'll just be a single screen that just has waves of enemies coming after you, but after you play that one time, you unlock cards, which unlock runes that you have, like that you could get from the start. So instead of, starting with like this one rune that you have in the classic mode, in arena mode, you can have up to 5, I think, or either 5 or 6 or something. But like, you can have them like based on how many runs you do in that, you unlock like, they come in card packs so that they're randomized, but you can like basically stack 6 of like the same type if you really want to start. So like you have a lot greater customization and a much simpler like level construction than like a traditional like action RPG level. So it's I like that just because it was very simpler and less time consuming than like a run that would take me like 30 minutes.
And even with all those runes, like arena mode is tough as fuck.
Yeah. No, it has a much like higher variety of enemies.
I was just gonna say there's like enemies that aren't even in the game. So.
Yeah. Well, and there's like you can't really run off like all the way to the start if you're focused in on this place and you can't leave. So
yeah, there's not a ton. You can run to the other end of the screen, and that gives you a little bit of leeway in order to like dodge some of the more bullet helly enemies. But like for the most part, you are just fighting and there's nowhere else to run.
Health is scarce. You just
But at the end of each wave, like you get the option, like you can get a new item because you don't run across items randomly or runes randomly in the run. They only appear at the end. But like, I think there's like 5 that appear on screen and you pick one and then like it switches from items to runes and you pick one of those. And you kind of get a little bit more of like narrowing down to like what your play style is, even if you are a little bit at the mercy of what the randomization is. But I liked it a lot. I found like the classic mode was fun, but it didn't, grab me the way that some of these roguelikes do. But like the arena mode definitely was something that appealed to me very much so.
Huh. I didn't even try that out, actually. Even after 40 hours.
I think you should. It's really fun.
Yeah, watching 40. You play a little, I wanted to check it out. Did you try the arena mode at all, Randall?
Yeah, I tried it once. It was a little too much for me, so I ended up just going back to the regular run mode after that. I was like, oh, this is tough.
I think like similar to the classic mode, it gets a little bit easier the more you do, just because of like you unlock more like packs of runes to start off with, so then you can tailor it to your play style. But yeah, it is the first run. I don't even know if I cleared the first like room.
Right?
Yeah.
I think that was my situation.
How do you all feel about the bosses in the game? Because I would say that if the game has any shortcomings in my eyes, that's probably the boss battles. Like they just seem like they kind of, pardon me. There's a lot of them that are. They're like very tough to damage, or they don't take a lot of damage. Like if you don't have a powerful bow or something like that, like you only have a few small windows where you can actually do an attack. And I did actually figure out one of the bosses. Like there was one little mechanic where you could like land on its head in certain moments when I didn't realize that you could like knock it to the ground.
Yeah, they all
and then
do
do
have
more
like
damage.
weak spots.
They do, but like I just feel like some of the battles like really it slows down the pace of like I'm kind of I'm in a mode when I'm playing the levels, and then I totally shift gears when I'm playing the bosses. And I had that problem with Dead Cells, too.
Yep, I was just about to say, echoes of the Dead Cells criticisms a little bit there.
Yeah.
Well, the mechanics of the game for Caveblazers, I still
They fit better.
They fit, and I think it's actually nice to have like a dynamic shift for a boss. Like I think it should feel different and more significant. So
I guess there was at least one boss that I know I went into, and I like. At least it was the first time I had encountered, I think it was the worm boss. And like I had like no means of attacking it because like I had put everything into I don't think I had upgraded my sword at all, and I was just in like long range mode, and it was moving too fast for me to land a single hit. So I was like, it was over. Well, it wasn't over very quick because I was good at dodging, but I could not land a single hit. So that was a very frustrating time for me. But at the same time, like I really liked the spider boss, and I thought that was a really well made boss. And I feel like if maybe I had encountered the like worm maybe later, and I had a little bit more varied loadout. Or, who knows, maybe I would have like gone even further down that road of like only upgrading my like range weapons, and I would have been even more screwed. But I kind of liked the fact that like, this is the loadout I had planned for and done. And then the game's just like, yeah, but you messed up.
Yeah. Well, I guess, you do have to keep in mind, like, I can't just load out and keep the items that are, because you do have like a limited amount of space in your pack. You can fit a lot of items, but once you've cleared a few stages, you're like, man, I have to start dropping some, But I feel like, I don't know. I just feel like the bosses, I like the idea of having to shift gears and stuff, but I just feel like I don't know. I don't think there's any of them that I enjoyed battling.
Damn.
I don't know. What about you, Randall? Do you have any thoughts on the bosses? Like, I didn't see the final boss.
I did make it to bosses. I beat like what I think is the first boss a couple of times, and then petered out in like the next level or two after that. But yeah, and I had my little pea shooter arrow that I was shooting at it, doing whatever 6 damage at a time for a couple minutes or whatever. Kind of the same experience where it felt a little anticlimactic, especially the second time, and it was kind of the same experience. But
Yeah, and I do appreciate that they do shuffle the bosses. Like, that's one thing that some rogue, like when we talked about Blazing Beaks, it's like that is like the same. You play this level, you're going to fight this boss at the end every time. I do like that you never know what boss you're going to fight. But the fact that I don't really like fighting any of the bosses, it's a little bit of a bummer for me. But I wouldn't say that's like a huge. I would say it's a smaller portion of the game, other than potentially the final boss battle if it's like a bigger 3-stage boss fight. But I think the exploration of the caves and that seems to me, at least for me, that's what I latched onto with this game, I should say.
Yeah, we were hunting secrets too for a while.
I forgot. Yeah, we didn't even talk about. There's like each stage kind of has its own secret, which is just sort of like cryptically hidden in the level that you just got, like on the first stage. Not to, I guess, to spoil things.
Spoil it.
But like, did anyone else find that secret other than DJ?
No,
and
I didn't know that secrets were a mechanic.
Tell me what it is, and I'll see if I accidentally found it or not.
There's like these, so on like some of the ceiling tiles, there'll be like these like slightly etched into the ceiling, like you can just see some kind of marking on the tile, and if you hit it with an attack of any kind, I think even if an enemy hits it with an attack, but if you shoot it with an arrow, they'll like light up white, and they'll also go back to, if you shoot it again, it'll go back to darked out, and then it'll like light back up again. But if you get I think there's 5 of them or something on the first stage, and if you hit all 5 of those, there's like a secret door that opens, and it almost takes you to like an arena mode type stage. It's like a single screen level, and you have to clear like 4 or 5 waves, and then you unlock, I don't know what, they're not called runes, they're called something else, but they're like modifiers of like the actual gameplay.
Yeah, like even harder ones.
Oh, wow.
Oh, good.
Like what are they? I forget what they even are. I only unlocked that first one, but it's like I think it's something like take double damage or or something like that. So it's definitely like if you want to add a little extra challenge to the game. So, but I really liked how they were hidden. Like, because when we were playing, DJ and I played a bunch of co-op runs a few months back, and we were just like trying it. Like, we would keep playing levels over and over. Like, where is the secret in this level? There's got to be something, because we had found a couple, and we were just like, so there's got to be one on each like zone. So what are we missing? And I have only found that first one still. So.
I had to look up one, and I'm very upset about it.
To this day.
Speaking of the co-op, how did you feel about how the screen kind of breaks off?
I like it, and I don't. It can be distracting at times. It's one of those like dynamic split screens where like if we're both on the same screen and near each other, it won't be split screen. But then if he runs off to the top of the cave, or I start going down, and it'll actually like not only split the screen in half, but it'll like, the actual tilt of the line dividing the screen will shift, like to give the best view. So like if
the
DJ
best 50% view,
essentially,
yeah.
So you can still see you can still see up and above or below you, and or whatever.
God, I'm just imagining like if you like fell down a like pit,
it's a little
and
disorienting.
Like,
it can definitely be a little disorienting at times. Although I think if the plan is to mostly stick together, it's not too bad, but it definitely did.
We have conflicting play styles.
Yeah, exactly. It definitely. Every time we would play, I would definitely be like waiting for like, okay, now I got to do a real run.
Wow. That was one thing that I kind of forgot about, was when you mentioned like that, the level structure is almost kind of like descending into these levels. Like your jump is also never like great enough that like you can always go back to like the beginning. Like sometimes you will fall down a pit that you just can't like wall jump your way back up,
right?
Or so like it does like kind of incentivize or like force you to have these constant forward progress. So you can't, if you miss something and you fall down like a pit, like you're out of luck.
But you can get like an ascension orb or something like that, throw that on the ground, and that will like, I think, just go to like a straight like levitation beam that will take you up to the ceiling.
Or you can not know how to throw items and just throw an ascension orb into a wall and be like, oh, cool.
It's a little clunky. That I will say, like it probably feels a little better on PC maybe to play, to like manage your items really quickly with a mouse and stuff like that. I could see that working maybe a little bit better, because there are times, and again, one thing that we didn't mention too is like the potions. Like every run, I think I mentioned briefly, but like there's probably like 12 or 15 different colored potions, but like every run, like there'll be a lime green potion or a blue potion, but like those all get shuffled what they do, kind of like Toe Jam and Earl, I guess, what they do each time. So like it might be a positive effect, it might give you a stat boost in a bunch of categories, or it might do 20 damage, or it might set you on fire for some
lower
damage,
your max HP.
There you go. So but then on that run, every subsequent, blue potion will be the same, but it is a little bit of that trial and error every time you start fresh, which is, at first I didn't think I liked, but I've grown to like that mechanic.
It's a roguelike, baby.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah, it definitely a lot more so than some of these roguelike titles or that get given that name or whatever, that genre.
Yep.
I'm still waiting for a platforming roguelike where you're an ampersand. You're fighting against an @ symbol.
I don't know if I get it.
Oh no, that's
game
what the
Rogue.
original Rogue.
Oh, okay.
Like it was all ASCII art.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Now I feel like an idiot.
Yeah.
Well, did we have anything more to add on to Caveblazers there? I know we've been talking about it for a while here, but
You guys have some homework to do.
Okay, fine.
Beat this game.
Yeah,
I do want to. I still want to. So I this is one that I've had just kind of like chipping away on the back burner. Like when I don't know what to play, or I have a couple hours to kill, and I don't want to sink my time into something new. It's one that I do pick up and play.
Oh yeah,
every now and then, pretty often. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll ever beat the game, but I'm definitely going to keep playing this game.
Yep. Same.
Sweet. Well, hopefully we'll follow up on this one with some victory in the future. But I guess we can move on to what Randall's been playing, although he didn't get to play too much getting over this cold here. But why don't you fill us in on the newest Nintendo release, Randall?
Sure. I don't know if you can hear, dear listener, but yes, I am still sick. Been sick for a number of days. Basically, I've been sick since Ring Fit Adventure came out.
This game makes you sick.
This game makes me so sick. No, it is an exercise RPG. If I were to kind of sum it up with a tagline, it's Nintendo developed, which is fun. I'm someone that had previously bought both versions of Wii Fit, the original Wii Fit on Wii, and then Wii Fit Plus, I think it was, on Wii U. Mike, I think I've got that right.
Oh, I didn't even realize they had a version on the Wii U.
Oh, yeah. You got to break your balance board back out, man. Come on.
I never got one.
You never got a balance board?
I never did. I actually just saw one at the thrift store the other day, and I didn't know if it had like all the stuff it needed, so I didn't get it, and it seemed kind of gross, but
it is probably gross.
Yeah.
You could clean that sucker up though.
Yeah, I should have picked it up, but anyways, yeah, I've never played any of these Wii Fit or any of these, other than the Wii Sports stuff that came with the Wii. That's all the like sports Nintendo stuff I've played.
There were some fun mini games in Wii Fit. Like there was one where you controlled a penguin on ice, and you kind of controlled the ice, and you can kind of flip it back and forth with your weight and collect all the fish and stuff. Yeah, it's good. It's a good time. But we're not talking about Wii Fit and penguins and fish. We're talking about Ring Fit Adventure. So, very brief impressions, because I only played it for the first night that it came out, and then, like I said, got super sick. So it comes with this ring con, they're calling it, which is about a foot wide resistance band. That's this big circle that one of your Joy-Cons kind of clicks into and serves as a controller. And it also comes with like a leg strap that another one of your Joy-Con kind of goes into a pocket of and goes on your thigh, so that it can sense your movement when you're kind of moving your legs, whether you're jogging or whatever you're doing in the game. So with these two things, those are the only things you use for input. So you never really have to touch buttons once you're in the game. To accept to move on, you kind of push the ring con in, which it's a resistance band, so it takes some effort just to say okay.
Did you ever get too tired to like accept a menu?
I think you could, yeah. What I will say, Nintendo's always really good about accessibility. So as you're setting the whole thing up, it's asking, like height and weight and build stuff, and it's letting you say like, all right, push it in till like you can't, hold it for any longer, and we're gonna have you hold that there for like 5 seconds or whatever. So like from that point on, you can kind of set what level of pressure feels comfortable for you.
Nice.
How easy or hard you want it to be, how strenuous. So I made it pretty strenuous, just like, yeah, I want this to be a workout thing for me. And I played the first few levels in kind of the first intro tutorial world just to see what it's about. It's kind of a third person perspective behind your character on this preset pathway. And to move, you have to pick your legs up. Like you're basically like jogging in place. And that's the advantage it has immediately over Wii Fit and the balance board is with the balance board, you can never pick your feet up. You're only shifting your weight because they were afraid you were going to break the balance board. So now with this, it's just a thing strapped to your legs. So you can pick your legs all the way up and it's measuring how high you're picking your legs up. You know, is it just a light jog or are you just like doing leg lifts on this thing? And you can go fast or slow kind of through your path. You're seeing things on like the side of your path. Often you'll be in some like outdoor environment with kind of a cool cell shaded looking landscape. There'll be things that you can point your ring con at. So you're kind of moving the ring con back and forth and like shifting your body around to point at stuff as you're walking or running. And as you kind of push your ring con in, it's shooting out like a gust of air or something that's giving you coins or points if you aim it correctly at stuff that's going by. Which is really cool. It works really well. It seems like they nailed the control feel of it. So you'll come across different enemies that all like they resemble different things you'd find in a gym, like a dumbbell or like a yoga ball or something, and they have cute names and cute faces. And to fight them, you're literally in a turn-based RPG battle doing like yoga moves or overhead presses or something that you have to hold and do reps of. And how well you do those reps depends on how much damage you're doing to these enemies. So it's pretty cool. Nice. It's something I see myself playing more, and like you're leveling up like a JRPG. You're playing different levels. It's getting you to use proper posture and learn these like yoga poses and different things while you're playing an RPG. So I'm definitely excited to play more of this.
Yeah, it definitely seems a lot more interesting to me than like just like whatever again, I didn't play Wii Fit, but like what it seemed like it was offering on the surface, at least. Like I actually didn't know about like the Penguin games or anything like that. But like what it just seemed like, I don't know. It seems like they found a way to kind of build the workout experience into an actual video game, even if I'm sure it's not as fleshed out as like a full blown JRPG, but it's, it seems like they're doing something that's keeping you engaged as opposed to like, I'm just looking at this like drab gray and white Wii Fit lady that, something about the visuals. Like it just didn't seem like I was like in a video game world, which is most of the time why I'm playing a video game is to escape the real world. So
yeah, and I like that. I know that there are like some workout apps that you can get on your phone that you're like, oh, this is me leveling up an ability if I like run with this or if I like do this many sit-ups. But like having an actual like first party developed Nintendo game that has a fleshed out world and mechanics, like I could see myself using that actually way more. I think I am planning on picking this game up and doing it just so that I have like, some incentive to do some workout also during my game.
That's where I'm at too, honestly. Like I've got a young kid and a family and pretty busy these days, but this is something I can fit into my life without leaving the house to do a workout while playing games. And it seems like it'll fit that need. Maybe it won't be quite as strenuous as going to the gym, but
oh yeah, I don't expect it to, fully replace, but I think it would be a nice addition.
And do you feel like you are playing a game? Like, I think, one of the biggest hangups for me from, doing actual exercise is just getting bored. Like, I think this does sound like an appealing thing, but, does it feel like a game, or do you feel like you're just being told how to work out, essentially?
I would say it's probably a bit of both there. Because, like, once you get into those battles, it's like you have to do workout poses, and it's pretty explicit about that. But you're able to select what poses you want to do and things like that. So you're not always doing the same thing in a workout over and over again. And there's enough, like, little gameplay elements, especially when you're in the overworld and you're kind of looking around this level to collect the little MacGuffins or whatever that you might have missed the first time around. That part is definitely more video gamey. So there's some of both there.
Nice. Can you also grind in the game?
I have a feeling you probably can, based on what I'm seeing so far.
if I can focus on my legs and make sure that my character can gain some
get swole. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they'll incorporate this into the next Paper Mario
There you
game,
go.
because I love, I love having those those actions incorporated. Like I love having even just hitting a button that it corresponds with my action in the RPG. So I kind of like the idea of actually doing hey, I got to hold this squat while I'm squeezing this ring together. Actually doing something physical and seeing it manifest on the screen. There is something cool about that. I mean, there's a reason why even the Wii took off. Just something about, hey, I'm holding a controller and I'm sort of doing the motion of throwing a bowling ball and hey, I got a strike. There's something about that is compelling, even if it does seem like it might be I don't want to put slight on this game that I haven't even played, but it seems like it could be a dumbed down RPG, but I don't mean that as a slight necessarily, but it's kind of cool. I like that.
Be very interested if they can find another way to use these rings. So
I know.
Nintendo's and Nintendo's usually pretty good about that. Even with
pretty good about making 3 games
that's
that use any given peripheral.
That's fair. Even with the balance
one thing
board,
I'll say too is
though they used it in some other games like Wii Punch Out.
Wasn't that Tony Hawk's Downhill Jam? Was that?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. I forgot they used that in Punch Out. That was a cool feature.
There was a couple other things too. I think they used it. Maybe one of the WiiWare games or something. I don't quite remember. But
I get one. I guess one more quick question.
That'd be a good indie game if someone made an indie game that had used that controller.
I'd buy it.
I'm sure someone will figure out a way. One other quick question is just so you're saying you're having to run in place pretty decently. So would this game not be conducive for playing in an apartment if people live below you?
They specifically advertised, I think, an apartment setting that was a low impact.
Exactly.
Workout.
That's really cool. That's awesome.
It was
I'm glad
specifically instead of jogging, it was I don't know, I forget what the other things, but yeah, it replaced anything that involved jumping or feet leaving the ground with just holding tension in the ring controller.
Well,
at least that's
and I have a feeling that would be like you did with the balance board, where you can still shift your weight and kind of move in place without making a lot of noise or really slamming on the floor.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, that's really good. That's good to know, because that was something that I seeing the videos of people playing and literally running in place. I'm okay, I for sure I have pretty squeaky floors in my apartment. Yeah. I'm there's no way in hell I can play this and be a even decent neighbor, let alone a good one.
Yeah, but there's more to come there. So, I will be playing more of this when I'm finally not sick. That's for sure. And so more to come, listeners. I will tell you more about this game.
Awesome. I'm excited to hear more. And I'm excited to talk some more about some initial thoughts on Race the Sun, which we all played a little bit of while we were waiting on Randall to give us a buzz, or at least give us the thumbs up that he was ready to go, which I played a little bit last night, just kind of on a whim. It's been sitting on my PS4 for God knows how long. I bought it on sale for some cheap price whenever I saw it, and this is just an auto runner. A 3-dimensional auto runner. You're not running at all. You're
an auto flyer.
Yeah, you're almost like a hovercraft kind of, and you're just it's low poly, gray, almost black and white in color. And it's you're just kind of zooming. Although there's different zones that have
we were unlocking things at that were brand new as we were playing
all of us. Yeah, because I said I just played a few runs last night. But you're just kind of zooming through at a really fast pace, and basically the core conceit is the sun is just setting on the horizon in the distance, and you're racing towards that. And there's a few pickups that you can get that will extend the time. I think once the sun sets, which I've never made it that far because I die before that every time. But once the sun sets, you're out of time, I guess. And if you're in the shadow, so there'll be pillars and buildings and stuff blocking the sun, or tunnels that you might go through. And whenever your vehicle is solar powered, so whenever you're in the shadows, you're running out of momentum and running out of steam. And you're basically just zooming ahead, avoiding obstacles, and you get a few new abilities. And I think there's still some more to come. There's all these different challenges that are if you're going really quick to the right and then switch directions, you'll do a barrel roll. And one of the challenges we saw was do 20 barrel rolls in one run.
And I managed to do 2 before I died.
That was a tougher challenge. It seemed there's challenges are ranked between you get 1, 2, or 3 points, and then all of those points go towards a total meter at the top that then unlocks new perks that you can slap on your ship, I think we got one that now you've also unlocked the ability to jump, which you have to like collect these green things that are in the level, like glowing green, I don't know, diamonds or something that you have to pick up to then get a jump that's just like a one-time use kind of thing. But then we unlocked a perk that lets you add an extra jump, or like you can stockpile up to 2 jumps. So it seems to be throwing new ideas at us as we're playing it. There's definitely some more stuff to unlock. So we also have not uncovered everything this game has to offer. But I was like pretty immediately hooked. Like I was just like, every time I died, I was just like, oh, like it's just like, it's an immediate, you just slam into the wall and your vehicle just blows up. There's no room for error. You can maybe nick the edge of something, but that's about it. But what did you guys think after playing just a little bit?
I love highly mobile games. So like the fast pace of this like made it really addictive for me. So yeah, like it was really hard to actually give up the control.
Yeah. But it was really fun also like unlocking new things, because it was brand new to like DJ and me, but like every time that like something else would we're like, ooh, we unlocked something that like opens up a portal to a new world. And then like that, like as soon as like DJ first went through that, like suddenly it went from being this very like gray and like low poly world to like this, like I think it was like pink and orange, like looked at, and it had buildings in it that were way more than just like a simple rectangle. Like they had windows and roofs, and you could see, like it was just like it real like as soon as that popped up, like I think all of us were like, ooh.
Yeah. And there is even like we saw there was like kind of like, it's not an endless mode per se, but it's kind of like a chill out, like you're not going for high scores, and that was like a way more colorful level as well. And one thing that's cool is like the game is procedurally generated, but not each run. It's procedurally generated every 24 hours. Oh, wow. So like you can start to like memorize, like when I was playing last night, I was like noticing like, hey, if I go way off to the left, I can like pick up a few extra like time extension power-ups over here, which again don't matter because I would die every time anyways. But you know, you can kind of like learn the routes a little bit, and there's different zones. So like the first zone is like decently challenging but pretty bland, and then like as you get to the second zone, there's usually like these windmills that are rotating around, so there's like more dynamic stuff going on. Like DJ of course got further than any of us, and like as he's zooming through, like he got to like some stages where there were like these cubes, these like giant cubes that were rotating around, like that you have to weave between, and you can't like hit any of the triggers to like do like an extra like hairpin turn or anything like that. And it does have, John mentioned, or at least asked, and it has like a little bit of like a Star Fox vibe in look, although not necessarily in gameplay. You're not shooting at anything, and you're just weaving between, and the steering feels pretty heavy, I would say. Like you can't like immediately change direction, so you like you commit. You have to kind of make decisions. A plan. You have to be seeing in the distance, okay, I'm going to kind of go that route. And but you do need to weave through some tight spots, and again, you get that jump ability, or DJ. We unlocked one more ability that like gives you essentially one free hit, like you run into a wall and then you like kind of respawn right above that wall. But yeah, just it's another one of those great, you know, I've mentioned before on the podcast a bunch of times, I love those like high score chasing, and there are leaderboards that are for each day individually, which is kind of cool. And yeah, I don't know, I just get sucked into these, like, oh, I can just pick it up, and the runs, unlike Caveblazers being maybe up to an hour and a half, this is like one run is like 2-3 minutes. Yeah. And that's if you're amazing at it, you know. So I think it's really interesting. And then the only other thing is you're just collecting those like blue little like pyramid, I think they're called like tris or something like that in the game. But like every 5 that you collect, your score multiplier goes up, which I think is just otherwise going up as you travel over distance. So and then if you clip a wall, like if you hit a wall head on or any kind of obstacle, you're done. Like there's nothing you can do. If you barely like nick it with the side or like one of the wings of your ship, then you just lose your score multiplier. But
see, I'm not usually one to like do these high score chasing games, but I feel like whenever you guys introduce one to me, it's like, okay, well, I'm competing against my friends, and like we're all like sharing this experience.
I need them to know I'm objectively better.
You already know.
I need to put them in their place. No, but I will say, like we were saying, I think I said like this would be a great, like I don't always think of these kinds of games as like a good party game. Like I always think of like, oh, something that's like 4-player Mario Kart or whatever. It's like, but this one player where the runs only take 1, 2, 3 minutes at the most, and you just pass the controller around, and
Perfect
it's
for
so
that.
simple. It's, move the joystick. Like, you do not have to really know how to play video games to play this game, really. I mean, so I do like that. And another thing that I know I've brought up on the podcast is this game does have VR support on the PlayStation 4, which is where I'm playing it. And you can go into first person mode, and just like the sense of speed is like almost doubled just by clicking it into that first person mode. And like, for a quick second, I was like, oh, I want to do this in VR, and I still do want to try it, but I think it would be terrifying. Like, even though it's very abstract and low poly, but just like,
there's something like about having that first person mode where like having something that, because you are going at a very fast
you're
pace,
zooming, and you don't have control over your speed. You're just you're just zooming,
and just like seeing something come up like over the horizon and know that you're gonna hit it is like terrifying.
And that's the feeling I love about this game, is like, you usually, like we said, you kind of have to be deliberate. So you usually have that split second while you're still playing, but you're gonna hit the wall. Like, you can't do anything to avoid it, but you're still trying to. And that's just, I don't know. It's just like, it's one of those that keep me on the edge of my seat.
It sounds intense.
For sure.
I want to check this out.
Yeah.
It's good.
It's really fun. Yeah. I don't, like I said, I don't know when I picked it up, and I've had it sitting on my PS4.
I think I've got it on my library too. I wonder if it was a PS Plus game.
Oh,
I don't think it was, because I think I bought it, but maybe it was. It might have been one of those like cross-play games, but DJ's always on top of the PS Plus, and he's shaking his head at me like he doesn't have it.
I got my PS4 before you, so, and I don't have it. So,
yeah.
So maybe you don't have an idea of what you may have paid for it, or
I have no idea. I don't think it's a super expensive game. I think it's normally only like $10. It's a pretty, it is a pretty simplistic, arcade game for sure, but I don't know, it's just really well done. The one thing I will say, I know we always save the music for last. I would say that's definitely a shortcoming, although it does get better as you progress.
The very
through the
first levels track just seems a bit. It doesn't seem like a first level track, and then as soon as you made it to like the second stage, like we were all like, "Oh, this is a good track." So it may have just been like that. We were kept dying too quickly.
You got to earn the good music.
Yeah,
yeah, but it is always the same song though, which does seem like or like the same build or progression, like as you get from each, I guess we should call them more zones than levels, because it is like continuous, but like, there's like little gaps in between, and like it does shift the vibe a little bit, but it's always zone 2 is going to have the same music, zone 3, same shift. So
it's like
it would be
30
nice.
seconds though. Like, it's not,
it's not the end of the world, but it is a little generic. Like, but one thing that's nice about the PlayStation 4 is I was able to just sync up my Spotify, turn the music down in the game, and just pull up a playlist that I wanted to listen to. So,
and yet you don't think you'll get the PS5?
Too early to commit.
We'll see.
To that.
We'll get there when we get there. But I think that's really all on that. Unless you two had anything more to add.
Nah, just a fun party game.
Love it.
Yeah, I'm excited to play more.
Definitely want to play more.
Yeah, for sure. Well, John, why don't we talk a little bit about The World Next Door, which is a game that you and I both picked up on sale recently. I know you've put in a little bit more time than I have. I've mostly kind of played through the like opening tutorial stage and like a little bit beyond that, just a handful of levels. But this is kind of like you describe it.
Yeah.
You played more than I have. So
yeah, the core game mechanics of the game is a puzzle game. It's like kind of a match 3, but not in a
traditional sense.
Yeah.
Like you're actually controlling like, well, I would say the core part of the game though, more than anything, is like the visual novel kind of aspect of it. That's definitely like the framing device for this game, which is something that doesn't always interest me. Like I like to have a little bit of gameplay there, at least when I'm sitting down to play a game. That's just like the mode I'm in. When I'm booting up my Switch, I want to play a game. So when I saw that this game did have like a puzzle battle mechanic, I was like, oh, this seems pretty interesting. And you're controlling a character on like a grid of all these different like glowing like neon tiles that are all different colors. So there's like red tiles that are associated with like a fire attack, or yellow tiles that will electrocute the ground if you activate them. And like John said, it's like a match 3. So like, or 3 or more. Mm-hmm. And the only other thing you can do other than where they populate is like you can grab one tile at a time and then pick it up and kind of tether it to your character and then swap it to another tile.
And like the difference in like how they control from like a traditional match 3 or any puzzle game really is that you are a character that is moving on top of like, it's still like a 360 degree motion of like an isometric view of top-down perspective where you're walking over the tiles and trying to match them, and there are enemies who are also walking and trying to match those tiles, or they're just trying to attack you.
I think they use the tiles as well. I guess I haven't paid enough attention. I know when we played the two, they did, which is cool. They added in, like, later after the game came out, they patched in a 2-player versus mode for this puzzle battle system. Unfortunately, not online, but it's local versus, and we tried that out, and at least for us, we were definitely using the same playing field. I'm not sure. I guess I haven't paid enough attention.
We were definitely the thing that I really liked about the versus mode was that, like, there is a split second where you are able to activate the same rune that the person is on. So there were a couple times where, you know, we're like dashing around and like we both activate a healing rune at the same time, but then like one of us gets off and activates like the electric rune, and that makes the other person like pause in their track so they can't make it to the next one. So I think for me at least, like, I think the puzzle game is kind of a shortcoming for me. I'm not a huge fan of how the combat is incorporated in it. But I think with like a lot of that was fixed when we were playing the versus mode, because I think like they typically have you up against at least 2 AI characters, and it's a little bit hard to like multitask in that you're, you know, dodging enemy attacks while still trying to organize a rune board, but like not have the rigidity that you typically have in a like grid-based game where, you know, you're just selecting tiles, so you still have to move around on top of it and arrange it. And for me, that just felt a little clunky, but at least when it's just you and another human, I think that mechanic works a lot better, and especially when you're both interacting with the runes and trying to race across screen and make sure that, you know, the person who's like right next to you isn't trying to get those at the same time you are. But yeah, like the visual novel aspect of it is actually what I have really drawn for, and I think I'm going to continue to just keep playing this game because I like it as much as I do. It's a Viz Media Games, or I think it's a Viz is just the production company, but Viz Media is the like anime and manga English translation distributor in America. So like I know them from like, oh, that's the people who put out Full Metal Alchemist when I read it off that, or like I'm a big anime and manga fan, so like I knew them from that. So I was really surprised to see like this game made by them that wasn't anything like that is a traditional like Shonen Jump property or like manga series that I had heard of before. But it is very much like heavily influenced by, you know, graphic novels. It's like it has a huge story element that, you know, kind of plays off like it reminded me a bit of Night in the Woods, where, you know, that's all these, it's kind of like a high school drama, but you're a human character that during this festival you like win a lottery chance to go over to this parallel world that everybody knows exists as like the representative from the humans, and you just get to hang out with your friends that you know were talking online with, and then because you're teens you like wanted to go to the shrine that you was off limits, and you trespassed and you stayed a little too late and the portal closed, and then you woke up some like ancient evil at the temple. Yep. And yeah, you know, teen stuff. But yeah, I just think it's a really charming game, and I know when I first started playing it, I drew the comparison to like Tokyo Mirage Sessions, the Fire Emblem and Shin Megami Tensei crossover for Wii U. That one of the things that I really liked as a device in that game was that they had like just phone conversations and text messages that you could read. And, you know, the way the game frames it is sort of like, you know, the choices that you make, like you only have like 3 people that you have the time to message at the beginning of each day. So you kind of choose who you're building relationships with. And there's a huge cast of characters that, you know, all have different personalities. So like, and then in addition to like, you know, growing relationships with them outside of the like battle system, you can also take in, I think, only 3 characters to each dungeon. So once it starts off with you only have like access to 4 characters, and then that slowly builds throughout the game. But I think that the story is really charming and like the characters are all really well developed. And I'm focusing on the characters that I like that are based off of, tropes and series that I like. But I could absolutely see myself playing the game again and just trying to see what, all the other conversations are.
That's
and
cool.
I think that that's a strong selling point, even if like the game aspect, like there is an assist mode. So like I basically turned on the assist mode so that I just don't take damage during battles and like just kind of I'm sitting there arranging runes and they're all the enemies are doing 0 damage to me and I'm like, all right, and it's done. But there was a thing that they started introducing in the second dungeon that I honestly kind of wish was the mechanic for the whole game, where they have these puzzle rooms where there are no enemies and you're just trying to arrange runes in a specific way that there's like a set of this is what is like on the field to start with, and you just got to solve it and put it in the right way or the most optimal way. And those ones I like because I think that that's I don't know. I like when there's a set solution to something and I can figure it out. But overall, yeah, I like the story of the game. I like the look of the game. I think it's really charming. And yeah.
The style is definitely what caught my eye initially. And then I was like, oh, it looks like a visual novel. And then, like I said, I saw the puzzle aspect. And for me, I'm a little less critical on that than you are. I definitely feel like there's some balancing issues on that battle system. Like you said, it's just kind of tough to like manage everything that's going on. And you don't feel like you can like set up these sweet chains of combos. Like it just doesn't have that super satisfying feel that a lot of the puzzle games that we've talked about on this podcast in the past have. So I will say, yeah, I'm not as critical as you are on that, but I do think it's lacking a little. But I'm sucked in. Like the story's really charming. It's pretty funny when it wants to be. Like it's not trying too hard to be funny, but it's like witty is probably better. It's not like laugh out loud hysterical, but it's just cleverly written. Yeah, the characters. There's good like voice acting we were talking about, where it's more like they're not like reading all the lines. It seems like it's just like a made up language. Like they keep saying Kosovo all the time, like in any context you can imagine. So I don't know. It seems kind of cool. There's just like a very select, limited number of like barks and expressions and stuff that just kind of.
It adds a little bit of liveliness to the thing without having it to like, dedicate, we're saying every line in every language that we're translating this into. It's nice.
It actually, it has like some expressiveness as opposed to just being like these stale line readings of everything. So yeah, I'm having a good time. Like I said, I haven't played anywhere near as much as you, but I'm planning on playing some more as well. And I do really like that framing device, like you mentioned, on like the cell phone and the texting and stuff. Just the way it's presented is like really clean, really nice.
When you pull up your like phone as the menu, like it's a cracked screen. So yeah, it's lots of little nice touches that are cute.
It's a nice package for sure. Well, I guess we just had one more game to talk about for this week, and it's just a short wrap up, partially since Randall missed the last episode and he's played some before, and I guess DJ inspired John to play a little Doom, or more than a little Doom, but to play all the way through Doom
right.
yet again. So, but why don't we start with Randall on, I know you didn't play necessarily recently, but did you have any thoughts that we didn't weigh in on the last episode?
Just that Randall thinks Doom is good.
and Chex Quest.
And Chex Quest. Chex Quest is also good. People should play Chex Quest. Unfortunately, that's probably not possible at this point, unless you have something that can run
I bet
like
that there's
Windows
a ROM
95
somewhere.
or probably not even 95, honestly.
No, I think the 95 was the first computer that my family owned, and we definitely ran it on that.
There you go. Go buy a box of Chex. Inside will be a CD.
a box of Chex unopened from 1995.
Yeah.
Well, I am curious to hear where you're coming from on this one, Randall, because I know I think I mentioned on last week too, but like with John and I, we don't play a ton of first-person shooters, and I know you're more in the same camp. And DJ does. It's not like his main mode of gaming or anything, but I would just say he plays more of them than we do. But I play, like John and I were talking earlier, probably could count the number of first-person shooters we played on one hand. So there's not much there for me. So like the fact that you're also into this one is like, I feel like I need to pull the trigger, no pun intended, and pick this one up.
I agree. Yes, you should. It's fun. It's just, it is, you take the original Doom from whatever, 93, whenever that came out, and basically add all the modern touches and put it out today. I think it would be very much like what we got with that Doom game, and it's just so satisfying. It's so fast. It's very focused on doing what it does very well, which is like in your face action. That risk reward that you guys talked about last week, the last time, like that's a huge gameplay mechanic that you kind of just constantly, oh shoot, I'm almost out of ammo. Let me get up in this guy's face, shoot him, so they like highlights that yellow color, which is great, like visual feedback for the gameplay. Go up, do the melee attack where you rip off both of his arms or whatever the hell you do. Which, and as folks know, I'm normally not into super violent graphic things, but for whatever reason in Doom, you just kind of know that's what you're getting into, so it's okay, and it's demons ultimately. It's not as much people.
Yeah, it's stylized enough. Yeah. It's self-aware. I think we talked about that a little. It's like knows how over the top it is
for sure. But like that, and then like around the well-designed levels, finding these secrets and upgrades, like the gameplay loops that they have that work with each other just kind of keep you just propelling forward. And I didn't beat it, but like just talking about it makes you want to play more of it.
Well, it worked for John apparently. So
yeah, I started after we talked about it, I started a file up that was a DJ. You finished it on Hurt Me Plenty.
Oh, jeez.
Which is like the normal mode.
Yeah. And so I had originally beat it on, I forget what the easy mode is called. It's like,
Hurt Me a Little.
No, it's something cutesy about, being lollipops and stuff. But I started it on Hurt Me Plenty, and it actually like completely changed the way I played the game, because like I don't know, because I had played it on the easy mode, that before, like it was in my mind that I didn't want to die ever, so I was getting into situations where I could, and so then I just had to like back off and like play way more conservatively and more calculated.
Let yourself die, man. I died a lot of times.
No, like so like that stigma at least like was making me like completely change how I played the game. So then I just started over on easy. I played through like maybe 4 levels before I was like, what really made me enjoy this game was just like tearing through levels and like that. So like the added difficulty that I kind of changed for myself on my next playthrough was like after a couple levels of like, trying to, unlock all the items or 100% and like find all the secrets, I was like, you know what, I'll do all of the objectives in 100% each level once and then move on to the next one. So I didn't replay any levels. I didn't go back and try to like grind for weapon mods or anything. So I went through, and like that was actually a really fun thing, because like I would get like, like a quarter of the way through a level, and I realized like, I haven't checked what any of the objectives are. And I realized it's like, oh man, there's only like so many of this type of enemy that I need to kill in a very specific way. So then like that added a nice little wrinkle to it. And like, even by the end, like the game like does a really good job of like giving you opportunities to do everything for weapon mods and like side missions that I fully kitted out all of my favorite loadouts by the time I reached like the final boss. So it was such a satisfying, like I cannot recommend this game enough. Like just running around doing rune trials, which was nice. I mentioned like in like our thread that I was like really grateful that I had played, and at least in the first playthrough, like certain rune trials like hundreds of times so that I could finish them on one go on this time. I was like, wow, I really did ingrain this into my muscle memory, because I hated it so
That's
much.
wild. I love how they introduce the new enemies too. Every time you encounter a new enemy for the first time, it does like that zoom in, and it's like, it's very cinematic. Everything about the mood of this game, they just nailed that too.
Yeah, like the incorporating the cutscenes into the actual gameplay, where it's like, it's just a perfectly crafted
It is.
game.
It's very good.
I love it.
Very interested to see how Doom Eternal turns out here. That should be coming out, I think, early 2020.
I'm so excited.
Yeah.
especially since like it looked like they added like a sword
Ooh.
into it.
Okay.
Which
Ooh, little Halo
That's
sword.
right.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see all that. But I know I asked DJ what his favorite loadouts on that game were, but do you remember what your guns of choice
It
were?
was, the equivalent of. Oh, you were asking him. So.
Well, and you, because mine was like Gauss cannon
Yep.
with the. I went with the siege mode where you could just move around. I know that you went for like the zoom in.
Yep.
But and then I did like chain gun as the auto turret, and then super shotgun. Those were my 3 go-tos.
And when I initially got the chain gun, I was assuming I'd use it a lot, but I really didn't use it like at all.
Man.
I did the assault rifle or whatever, which isn't that strong, but
like I don't
with
think that
the
there's
zoom
necessary...
on that too, like I really liked. So
I know that like the super shotgun, like at least like I like the fact that they introduced multiple versions of weapons that use the same
Right.
ammo. So like the
Yeah.
shotgun and the super shotgun use the same, and you can choose whichever one you like more. But yeah, like the plasma rifle and the Gauss cannon, I think like as soon as I got that Gauss cannon, I was like, never using plasma rifle ever again.
I can't remember.
But,
I can't remember the names of what I use. I definitely like the up in your face weapons a lot more than far away, just based on the way that game worked. I just wanted to be as close to groups of enemies as possible and just like keep that momentum going.
yeah, I feel like my default when going through a level for the first time would be like start with the shotgun.
Yeah.
If I feel like I need something better, switch
Yep.
to it then.
Yeah.
Same.
Such
Oh
a-
yeah.
Yeah, I think you guys sold me. Like, I'm not gonna buy it right this second or anything, but I'm gonna definitely keep my eye out for a sale.
I
on
got
this
it on
one.
Switch. If you want to spend an hour and a half downloading the patches and updates. But.
Fair enough. Yeah, I definitely want to check this one out because I love that arcadey feel, and
yeah.
it seems like this is just fully embracing that and stripping away all the, like, even you're saying the cutscenes, aren't even in. Like, they're just in the game. They're not like here's a cinematic that you have to watch for 3 minutes. It's just here's a quick thing. Even I think we talked about it last week. The way the game opens, just right into the action, right off the bat.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
this one's on my radar, as it should have been a long time ago.
From
So-
2016.
That's right. Doom 2016.
There's a little known game called Doom.
This
Well-
indie developer, Bethesda.
All right, well, another game that we've all had on our radar for a while, and that's going to be our game of the month for the month of November. Although I shouldn't say all on our radar, because I think John has played a little bit of this one, but we're going to be playing Baba Is You, which is a top-down puzzle exploration kind of game. I guess I don't really even know much about it. I've tried to keep myself... No, I've seen trailers and stuff, but that's all I've ever seen.
It's a great game to go in knowing as little as possible, and even if you know basically the mechanics of it, like it does a good job of just like throwing you into it. So I think it's a great game to not look up a ton, or at least look up enough so that you know what it's about. And then,
See if it's up your alley. But otherwise,
it's a good puzzle, great puzzle game.
I'm into it.
I'm
Let's do
excited
it.
I'm excited to check this one out, and it's one that I've kind of needed the nudge to play because it seems like one of those like heavy brain teaser, head scratcher kind of games, and I'm like, I just sometimes need the nudge to actually boot that game up. So, yeah, I think we can pretty much wrap it up there though this week if you guys are feeling good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Well, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Pursuing Pixels, and take care, and we'll catch you next week.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is I was gonna go to the end of to Baba. Is
Okay.
you.
Oh, yeah. 'Cause okay.
Yeah.
Forgot we have to announce.
Sorry.
Yeah, just another game that has been on your radar.
Also, id Software is the developer of Doom, guys.
Fine.
Whatever.
Just want to throw that out.
I know. I was so mad when I think I said that on the last
did.
episode too, and I was so mad at myself. Oh well.